33 years in the industry, and these facilities that you are building get better and better. And Pearls is just a testament as the last facility that you have built at this point, and it has all the bells and whistles that make memory care successful.
And I always let the staff know when mom and dad's happy, their family's going to be happy.
You said a receptionist position?
I cannot imagine her as
I cannot either.
We work in their home. This is their home. What would you do if you was at home?
We really do treat all staff as one big family, not only with the residents, but also our staff. And you guys are part of the family.
Sure do. That's exactly right. To go get some ice cream.
Yes. And it's so exciting to be a part of.
It'll be amazing. It really is. Yeah. It's one of the biggest things I think we've learned. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to today's show. We'd like to take this opportunity and welcome you here to Around the Table with Vickie. I'm your co-host, Chris Runk, and across the table from me, as always, is my mother, your host, Vickie Runk.
Always good to be with everybody.
And man, Mom, we're excited. We have two guests that have been on the show before and have provided a lot of insight. So I'd like to welcome back to the show Carolyn Wooten, who is our memory care expert and our administrator of our Pearls of Life building. So welcome, Carolyn.
Good to be here.
And I'd like to welcome back Patrick Daly, who is the administrator of our Liberty Ridge campus.
Largest campus.
I like to call that the cruise ship.
Hello.
So welcome back, Patrick. And, we're excited today, Mom. We're going to kind of unveil behind the scenes happenings of these buildings and kind of what all goes into what a day looks like from the administrator's perspective, but also from our perspective, and kind of unmystify maybe a little bit of the happenings.
Mm-hmm. And I thought this was going to be a great show because so many of our families, especially new ones that are coming in and getting acclimated to group living and what it's like to have all these different people with all these different titles in our buildings, sometimes don't know the people behind the scenes. And so to dig in and get personal, find out how and why is it's going to be important, I think.
I think that's because we say we are family owned and operated, and we really do treat all staff as one big family, not only with the residents, but also our staff. And you guys are part of the family. So let's just jump right into it. Carolyn, what brought you into senior living?
Oh my gosh, back in the day in the 70s and 80s, it was a time in my life that graduating from school and entering the workplace that I ended up in the auto industry. And so making car parts and stuff. For years I did that. And then my sweet sister, she was a CNA at Guggenhammer Nursing Home, and she wanted to venture out from a CNA to a manager's job at a residential place. And so she called me to say, hey, sis, I got a job for you. It's a great opportunity. And I'm like, So it all began when I went to work at a residential place. And there it was back in the day when it wasn't so much regulated. It was comfortable. It was apartment style. And my duties were medication management, making sure they get to meals, bathing, and stuff like that. And so at that time, my sister decided she wanted to be an administrator. So then I got the role of being a receptionist to a director of assisted living and to a licensed nursing home administrator on the job training.
Which is just the best. I love to hear your story, Carolyn, because I've known you for a long, long time. And before you came to work for us, we were working in two different homes. And so it's always been great to watch you shine. And I love the fact it was LG, right?
Mm-hmm.
LG, what's her last name so we can shout out?
Harvey.
LG Harvey. Thank you for getting Carolyn into this industry. Carolyn is one of the best. And anytime we're having an administrators meeting, she's known as the veteran of our industry. She's been around for a while. But what I love so much about her is she's telling you the truth. She was like homegrown, an apprenticeship in the industry, which you don't get anymore. That was back in the day. And that teaches you things that you will never learn in a classroom. And it teaches you a whole lot about your heart and who you really are. I'm glad you left the auto industry, Carolyn.
Different world.
Well, I also think it's awesome that you started at, you said, a receptionist position.
I cannot imagine her as
I cannot either. So
We'll
you're
take
somebody
your word on that.
who started at a very entry-level position
Yeah,
and worked every step of the way
right.
to be a licensed nursing home administrator.
And an assisted living administrator. She's the only one on our team that has both licenses, and I love that too, because nursing home administrators are required to do so much more than assisted living administrators. So Carolyn's always brought that medium of the road to where you don't want to do too much, but you certainly better do enough. And I love that about her. And she mentors our other administrators. They all kind of know where she stands, and we've appreciated that.
I think Patrick calls me Mama Woo.
I can speak on that very much so.
Yeah.
Miss Carolyn took me under her wing very, very early. We clicked. Our personalities clicked very early as well. But as for the knowledge that she can give, I mean, you cannot fake experience. You cannot
No.
fake years of dedication and hard work. And some of the things that she saw me doing, she says, "Don't make these mistakes.
Right.
Don't make the same mistakes I've made." And Carolyn, from the bottom of my heart, you really have been a huge part of, and we've gotten into our own little spats as well.
Yeah.
But through growth and, in turmoil comes growth and transition. And it's, so that has been a fun part, because if I have a question or if I had an issue with a nursing home background, she says, well, this is what we can do. However, in assisted living, this is what we need to do.
Right. And Carolyn is also one of our proctors, Christopher, whenever we are bringing new people in that need to go through the assisted living program to be able to become an administrator. And then there's a test that they have to take. And so you can go through anywhere from 300 to 600 hours, depending on your level of education and how much time you've served in care communities. And we're putting quite a few people right now through that. And the time that she spends with each individual, if we had them all here at the table, they would tell you it's just invaluable. So thank you, Carolyn, for being an all-star. And on that same note, Patrick, I think it's really interesting for you to share with the folks what your initial background was.
I came from a side sweep. I would have never thought, coming out of high school, coming out of college, that the good Lord would have prepared me to do exactly what I'm doing right now. I would have never put the pieces of the puzzle together. I went to restaurants. I was in restaurants for years. And then things happened in my life with turmoil where I just needed to switch industries. And I went from one family business to your family. And, Chris, you said in the beginning that, you treat the employees as part of your family. The proof's in the pudding. And you guys have, as a family, has brought in employees. And I have seen it with my own two eyes, and not myself, but other employees, where you have done things and you have acted in certain ways where other employees would never tolerate either that, and you embrace them with a hug and support. So that there is the proof, and I have seen that. But with me coming into this business from a restaurant background, I'm not a nurse. But you have given us nurses, to be that part, and part of our success is because I'm not a nurse. I have that other type of background to run the building, make sure the air conditioning stays on.
You have a different set of eyes, which we love.
It's definitely, you hire nurses to do nursing jobs. In the smaller buildings, the administrators run different hats a little bit, but in Liberty Ridge, in the flagship, it's, my job is very different than Carolyn's. I've been in Carolyn's shoes and understanding, what comes from that facility versus this facility. It's a whole different ball game. But
you just brought up a good topic. You have ran Pearls of Life where Carolyn is now. And Carolyn, you were at Leesville for over 10 years. And now you've been brought into, and I think it's something that we do really well, Christopher, is when we're having a pivot moment, which we talk a lot about here at this table. We're able to, juggle some people around to fit the needs. And at the end of the day, it's all about what's best for the residents. And each administrator that we employ understands that.
I think each one, Patrick alluded to, each building has its own personality. And we're able to have great staff, great team members. A lot of training goes into where we're able to kind of figure out the personality of that building and then find an individual that fits the need of that building so well. I mean, talk about the flagship. I mean, I'll say Liberty Ridge is, and Patrick comes from that hospitality restaurant background, where I think hospitality is a big deal for our independent living folks up at Liberty Ridge. It fits so perfectly into that mold.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know, Carolyn. I don't think I could be at Liberty Ridge every day and have to run that many steps as you do, Patrick.
12
but
to 16,000.
thank God for you.
12 to 16 every day.
Yeah.
Um,
There's an aspect to this job too that family members need to be educated on. It's that balance between you guys having to be business and understand what we need on the business side of things, but you truly are caregivers as well. And you get to know each resident. You know what their diagnosis is. You know what their needs are. And sometimes when families come in to visit, they're a little amazed that you know that much. Talk about the importance of ingraining that into your mind and studying what you need to know every day about each individual.
I'd like to talk on that. So when a family member comes in initially, in our first initial meeting, once they are, residents of the building, I have a relationship with every single resident. However, my true relationship is with the family.
Right.
You are asking us and you're trusting us to take care of your loved one, and that is a huge undertaking, if you look at it from a 5,000-foot view, but on a daily basis, it comes down to trust. It comes down to being an ambassador of the brand, understanding that, there are certain things that are in place that are, we don't move, we don't fix. There's morals and standards that we have. But then going back to the personalities, you're right. Each personality is very different in the building, but the structure is the same, and those families that are coming in, it's my job as the administrator to make sure that the families have a sense of warm and fuzzy, as people like to say, so when they leave for the first time, and one of my most, feelings that I love to get is that feeling when they walk out of the office and they say, wow, it's so good to know that mom is under your care, because either where we came from, where we were, what we were trying to do is nothing that really, really wanted. And we can emulate that love in these buildings.
And I always let the staff know when mom and dad's happy, their family's going to be happy.
Sure. You mentioned care a little bit. I want to talk about, what goes into developing a care plan for each resident. When families come in, even once a week, it's real easy for them to realize, hey, they may think mom and dad's doing great because mom and dad's able to perform for that period of time they're with them. You guys are with them every single day. You can see the daily progressions, noticing what their loved ones may not. So talk a little bit about what that looks like every day.
It's the interview process with the residents, our seniors, and the families, and learning and bonding with that individual and looking at their diagnosis that will play a role in the care that they will receive, and activity level, their independence as far as being ambulatory, non-ambulatory, what they can do and what they cannot do, but we encourage them to function at their highest level.
So I'm gonna jump back. Everything changes on a daily basis. You can have one resident where their baseline was a specific type. They knew mom every single day to be this person, but the mom and dad that we know is maybe a little different. The mom and dad that we know may have made a new friend, and all of a sudden mom is now crocheting where she's never crocheted in her life before. Or dad is, coming and hanging out with the guys and going playing NCAA basketball up on the 4th floor, with PlayStations. It's a different, they're like, I would have never thought that mom would have come to an event, and here is mom at every single event. Those are what the wins for us are. And, sometimes it's a negative, there's negative sides of change as well, where we came in and mom wasn't the same, or, mom has changed a little bit. But we know those changes. We see those changes because we do see them every single day. And as administrators, our job is not in the office. Our job is on the floor. And, that's one of the things that is established with us, is, we don't want to be in the office. Yes, of course, we have office work that we do. But if you're not on the floor and understanding who's there, who's in your building, that's where the pulse, and that's where Carolyn does a phenomenal job. And even teaching me, Patrick, I walk around with a broom and a sweeppan all day long. And just, she may not need to, but it shows even the staff that we're there to work.
I want to talk a little bit about safety compliance and overnight care, specifically to you, Carolyn, because you're with the memory care units. Let's talk a little bit what the facilities look like in the evening, how they change personality from daytime to nighttime, but also what goes into state regulations and inspections and all those fun topics, because I know that there's a lot of fun there.
It is very challenging. But, every day is a different day. And in the afternoons or the evenings, they start, our seniors will slow down, or then some of them will be late going to bed or early to rise.
Or not go to bed at all.
Huh?
Not go to bed at all.
Not at all. And we just let them, the staff will watch and let them really walk around the facility. Basically, and with that, we watch them and do hang-ins on. Sometimes the girls will read to them or do something fun like a bingo with a small group or watch a movie, kind of keep things calm and slow at a slower pace for them.
And in our sensory rooms, Christopher, that's probably what you were getting
Exactly
ready to say.
what I was getting ready to jump in on.
It's not unusual for us to find the night owls that just can't really settle down and sleep, and we're giving them their independence to decide whether they're going to sleep or not, to kind of wind up in one of our sensory rooms in our memory care and kind of kick back on a sofa and just taking it all in. And I'm specifically thinking about a resident that used to love to sleep in the memory care rooms and in the sensory rooms. And so that makes us feel good that we're creating spaces unlike most facilities. I can't think of any in the area that has as many sensory room options as we do in memory care.
It was something you made the conscious decision to do, because a lot of, like you mentioned, a lot of facilities will see that as a billable space.
Right.
They'll see it as a room that
real estate. Yep.
should be rented out.
Yeah.
But you made the conscious choice to let's look at how we can create a better environment for those residents there. It's not only about the money. It's about making sure that the residents' needs are met. And like you said, those rooms stay open 24/7. A lot of folks that are wanderers at night will somehow find their way into those rooms, and you'll just kind of, and we encourage that. We've trained the staff that it's okay if they're in there taking a nap on the couch at 4 a.m. in the morning. Actually, we love to see that.
Because it means it's working. It's touching the senses, which is what a sensory room is all about. And the lights may draw them in, the small, the calming
music, I think,
the bubbles in the tubes and the bright lights that are attracting serenity, in a certain way, all the cable cords that we have for serenity and feeling like you're safe. And that's what those rooms are meant for. Where there's been studies done on sensory rooms where you can cut down psychotropic drugs in most situations by 50%, which is our goal. If we don't have to dope them up, then we don't want to dope them up. We want to use other methods of natural wellness to help in those situations. And we train our staff to do that. I also have been privileged enough to be on some of these night shifts and watch our girls literally be doing laundry and making their rounds, and they'll stop and conversate with the gentleman that's made his 34th lap for the night. You ready to go to bed yet? Can I get you something to drink? I've even noticed that one gentleman was losing his pants, and the aide just went right up to him and took the pants and just pulled them right on up. And we're thinking, that's a great staff member. And then we're really proud when we watch it back and we think, wow, they've been trained really well by administrators like you guys. And she never missed a beat. She kept on doing her laundry and came back, and he still had his pants up the next round. But, those are things that people don't think about. There are some strange behaviors in memory care.
And I always let the staff know we work in their home. This is their home. What would you do if you was at home?
Right.
And to relax. And
one of the great areas that I always enjoyed when I was at Pearls was your, I want to say, the homemaking area for the ladies.
Life skills rooms.
Life skills rooms on that side, and then the men, on the other side. But even in the middle of the night, I would always see if I popped in or somebody, the ladies would then do their laundry in the life skills area. Yeah. And therefore, these residents, because they're high functioning, Pearls is designed for high energy, high functioning, folks with dementia, and they would assist with laundry, where you have I don't want to say fake, a faux, a laundry unit that has no motor, has nothing in there. The door latch doesn't work, so nobody can get caught. And we'll take the laundry hot still from our dryer, put it in there, and then they believe that that is what's happening, and they help fold the laundry, and it's a connection to their old life.
That's why it's called life skills, because it's things they've done in their life that you can never erase from a woman's memory, how many loads of laundry they have done. And so let's embrace that for a memory care resident, or putting the groceries away. We have an old-timey refrigerator in the women's life skills room. We've got the baby cribs with the babies where they go tuck them in at night before they go to their room. And it's just amazing to watch it all work. When it's on all cylinders, it is quite amazing, the world that we've created at Pearls and our other memory care facilities. So, just a little sneak peek behind the scenes too. At night, it turns into a different place, which is what you just alluded to.
Well, Sprout Springs, how many years ago was that?
It's been 33.
So 33 years in the industry, and these facilities that you are building get better and better. And Pearls is just a testament as the last facility that you have built at this point, and it has all the bells and whistles that make memory care successful.
Well, thank you. I'm so proud of it. So proud.
Mom, I want to pose this question to you. We talk about state regulations, state inspections. How important, and I'm not sure a lot of people think of politics in senior living. And I know it doesn't probably apply to them till it does. And when it does, it applies to them in a big way. How important should folks be looking into politics in senior living?
Well, I say this everywhere I go. And inevitably, when I'm invited to speak to a group of seniors, like educating them on their senior care or options within Runkin Pratt, every single time I'll at least have one little lady that's a little belligerent with me. And at the end, I'll say, does anybody have any questions for me? I'm happy and we've given some good information. Inevitably, there's one lady that's a little belligerent. You'll say, I have a question. And of course, I say, what is your question? Well, what happens when you can't afford one of your beautiful facilities? And what I say back to her is so true. You need to realize who you are voting for each and every time. It's time to elect a congressman, a delegate, a president, a senator. All of those politics matter, because if you find a politician that is going to focus on veterans benefits, getting money back in our seniors' pockets, whether it be with Medicare or raising the Medicaid allotment so that we can have more SNAP benefits for our seniors, all of that matters. And so if we're saving you money where it counts, which is where politicians go and put all these new bills, and by the way, there's lots of things related to seniors that's getting ready, Christopher, to go to our House and Senate right now. One of them is they want to increase money for the ombudsman program in the state of Virginia. There's only $300,000 allotted in the budget, and they're asking for $2 million now, which will then allow more ombudsmans to be in our communities, finding seniors that need help, that needs advocating for. So all of that matters. And you think, well, if you're over 70, you ought to have it all figured out. There's a lot of people that didn't get started with making money until they were in their 60s, and they're a little behind. And so what can your state government do for you? You have to ask the people that you're electing, the people that are asking you to get out on a winter morning or a fall morning that's a little crisp and maybe raining, to go to the polls and vote for them. You need to figure out, where do they stand on VA benefits? How can you get more? Are they allotted to your area? Is there things in the Medicare system that you want to see them do? And they need to make their voice known. And if your politician won't listen to you as a senior, don't go vote for them.
That's great. If I were to ask you both a question, what would you hope most that families would understand that they may never see? And what would that mean to you?
The dedication and the hard work that our employees put behind the scenes, and that if there is a mistake or if there is a problem, that does not represent the 99% of what they do right every single day. There has to be an understanding that there is a give and take. We will never be able to do or care for Mom the same exact way that you could at home, but we will try to come as close as possible. And when sometimes we do fall short, or if you walk in and something is not appropriate, please understand that, Mom is just as important as every other restaurant or every other resident that we have here. And so we want to make sure that, they are loved just as much. But it does take time to cover all that ground, and to have an understanding that there's two sides to every story.
And sometimes it's just them letting go and letting us do our job.
Yeah.
and being patient, and being us being a listener to them, not so much criticism, but to learn to take care of their loved one. No, it's not going to be the same at home, but it's going to be just as good.
Well, and I've found when it gets up to my level, so after it's come to your all's level and you still can't deal with it, then it comes to my level. And what I find inevitably, and this is maybe only 2 or 3 times a year that I have to, physically go and meet with a family, it really doesn't have anything to do with us. It doesn't have anything to do with their mom and dad. It has to do with unresolved guilt.
Yep.
Of not being able to take care of their mom and dad themselves.
Hit it on the head.
And when we help them release that guilt, and we help them through education and bringing things down to reality about how mom and dad actually feels versus how they think they feel, it helps them tremendously. So I think for these guys, it is crucial that they're not only taking care of the residents, but they are ministering and educating and caring for the families as well.
Mm-hmm.
And if all the administrators were here at this table and we were having this conversation, there would not be one that did not tell you it is much harder to take care of a family member and the family dynamics that's in that group, and they're all so different, than it is the actual resident themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I know after 33 years of doing this myself, inevitably, it is easy for me to go in and take care of those residents and hear their complaints or hear their expectations or hear their dreams of what's still on their bucket list to do. So Julie and I are going to try to fire up the bus and make sure that they meet all those bucket list things to the best of our ability. It is harder for me to take care of a family and the guilt that they're feeling, or also the inner dynamics of a family that may be a bit broken.
Yes.
And it's always been broken, and it ain't going to be any better now that we're here at this point.
It's going to be worse.
It's going to be worse.
What I also hear, Carolyn, Patrick, you saying is just really approaching this moment as, let's look at this as a whole team unit.
Mm-hmm.
Not one versus the other, but if that family member approached it as a team with us.
Care is a team. There's not just one person that takes care of any one person. Every single resident is a team that takes care, from starting with the administrator to the nurses, to the activities, to the dining, to the servers, to the cooks. Even just one person walking through our restaurant, it takes 12 to 20 people to take care of them in the way that we have it set. And that is part of the success, is every single person gets that attention to detail. And so nobody's left behind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we still have a lot to discuss here. So if you're, unfortunately, we're getting close on radio, but we're going to continue this conversation even more. So make sure you check out our podcast channels on YouTube and Spotify, Apple. Around the Table with Vickie, we'll continue this conversation with Carolyn and Patrick. But as we close here, I do want to pose a question. To Patrick, we've done this before on another show. We talk about glimmer moments.
Glimmer.
Tell us a moment or something recent that has made you remember why your work matters.
Happened yesterday. There was a family member that came into my office, sat in front of me, and was crying. And I said, "Ma'am," I said, "what's going on?" She says, "Hold on, my husband's about to come in." They were elderly. They were coming in to oversee and help out one of our residents who really doesn't have any family, and they are the friends. Long story short, and I said, "What is going on? How can I help you?" They said, "We have to go tell this person that the rings that she had on her finger when she went to the hospital were lost. The hospital does not have them. It was their great-grandmother's rings, and there was no way of getting them back. No one can look for them." I took them out of my drawer because our staff took them off because the resident was adamant that these are my grandmother's. Please take them. The first thing the staff did was take them off, bring them to me for safety. I put them in. They must have cried for 20 minutes in my office.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't even have to bring that negative energy to the room. All they brought was celebration. But they've been dealing with negative energy for probably 3 days, and it just took it off. And that was our staff interjecting. And I'm not saying that our staff takes rings off people's. It was the request of the resident that, please do not let me take this to the hospital.
Mm-hmm. It meant something to her.
I got a little chill bumps. It was magical.
Yeah.
Well, Carolyn, we're going to have to save your moment for the podcast. So if you want to check out more, make sure you check out our podcast channels. What a great discussion today. Thank you for joining us today, Patrick and Carolyn.
You're welcome.
Mom, the
I
quote.
love this show. I love this show.
So thank you guys, and we'll end it here with the quote, Mom.
To care for those who once cared for us is one of the highest honors. And Mother Teresa reminded us that it's not how much you do, but how much love you put into doing it. I think after you've heard these great administrators here at the table with us today, you've understood that those words never have rung more truer than right here today as we've been talking about their life missions, it's now transferred into time that we're taking care of our seniors right here in this community. And until next week, I'm Vickie. Thank you for being here with me today, and we're all right here around the table.